give those incentives out in increments as opposed to all at one time.
We get that with the school district too, but we only get it twice. So retention.
Council, anybody other questions? All right, moving on to the next item, read that public information. Council?
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Mr. Reyes. I'll keep mine pretty brief. So, the first slide is basically a description of my department and what it entails. The number of employees in my department is just me. So, next slide. Okay, so these are the, requests and increases, detailed. So as you can see, there's a lot of zeros. The reason being for that is that my department is fairly new. And I've been hired to do this as of a year ago. So a lot of my stuff that I was paying for was coming out of the city manager's budget. So now we're finally kicking mine in. So the first line of office supplies, requested amount is $1,500, so the increase would be the same amount for office supplies. Downtown holiday decorations, requesting $1,500, same as the increase for upgraded Christmas decor. Other operating supplies, requesting $3,000 for a media podium that I'm looking into specifically for these meetings as well. Postage expense, $500, increase, same amount, needed to mail out information. This also happens a lot during Christmas time when they want to receive the applications to be either in the parade or be a vendor, and not everyone has an email, so they would like for me to mail out stuff, so that's where that is coming from. Meetings and travel, okay. So it was $183, requesting $3,000, increased $2,817. This is for trainings and seminars for multiple departments. As you all know, I don't only work for, my department alone. I work with the city manager, I work with the police department, I work with the fire department, and all of that. So the previous police chief had actually wanted to send me on a training for public information officers, specifically for police departments. That way, whenever it comes to news releases and things of that manner, I'm trained and equipped for that. Printing and advertising. If you all can, please make a little edit here. Instead of the $1,500, I was made aware that it was going to be $5,500 because I'm not allowed to take from the city manager anymore. So this would be from mine. It will be for banners, posters to promote events, and the newspaper ads. So I believe we went over budget for the newspaper ads this year. So especially now that we're utilizing my department and trying to get the information out there, it will be utilized more. That is where that is coming from. Utilities and telephone, $500, that's for my cell phone bill. Other services, budget $500, request $1,000, increase $500. This is for batteries, memory card subscriptions, anything to help keep the equipment going. Promotion community, budget $0, requesting $1,500, increase $1,500. This is for materials to distribute at events. And now I'm grateful that the city is being asked to attend more events, and this is so we can give out more promotional items. The next slide is a rundown of the total budget, total proposed and increase, but just keep in mind that little edit that we made, and that will be applied here. Last slide is just basically a rundown of my department, so you can see how all of this ties together in order for it to be a successful department. So
With
that's
that,
about it.
council, do you have any
Do
questions
y'all have
for
any
council?
questions for me?
I have a question on the meetings and travel. So you mentioned that police department wanted you to train in that area. So when it comes to something like that, public
Yes.
information or press release like that,
Mhm.
is she going through trainings as far as the legal end of it?
That's basically what he was trying to do, to establish for me, because he says that the way that they handle situations is a little differently the way that we do than they do for the general community. the guidelines that they do, the protocols that take place, so on and so forth. So I really want to attend meetings like that. I believe last year it was held in Sam Houston. And so, yeah, that's basically what that would entail.
Is there anybody else within the police department that plays this role?
I believe Guerrero was helping out with press releases at one point, but, they were wanting me to start taking over.
I think
Stuff like that.
what we try to accomplish, and police department can probably add to this, is we don't wanna give information, of course, that's gonna, jeopardize a case. And so whenever we give out information, we have to be careful as to what we give out and not, and you can help me out with this, I hope. But we just give out the general basic information that gives people what they need to know, right? But again, I think the idea is to prepare Bianca or anybody else that prepares his releases to know what not to include in press releases.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm getting to, because, and this will help us in the transparency and to the public.
Yes,
Not to be, so that the public is aware that, hey, this is going on, but what can we say to what?
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, anything else? Okay. Bianca, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Fred, who's next?
Next one's finance.
Finance? Jackie, you have the floor.
Good evening, council. Most of you know I'm the finance director. So my department contains, 5 personnel. So this is what my budget includes, for my staff. Can you go to the next slide? And these are gonna be my increases that I'm proposing. For on line 103, 302, I'm requesting 10,000. That is for our Encode consultant. That consultant would be, like when our Encode goes down and we have to call them and they have to do the update, or, there has been quite a few times, within the past 3 to 4 months now, where our Encode falls off of the server, and when it falls off of the server, we can't take payments at the window, or we can't take any kind of payment actually, because it won't be recording it. So this consultant is, to help us get back online, make sure that our Encode is running properly. They also if we have any questions, little trainings here and there, for us and the staff.
Jackie, does everybody know what Encode is?
Encode is the system that we use to bill
The
for
financial system.
our financial system on the finance side. And then, the next line item that for increases would be 103, 311. This is for meetings and travels. This is for me to attend Encode trainings and GFOAT accounting seminars. This will help, with, when it comes down to audit items, making sure that the books are being recorded properly, everything is being recorded, so to the GFOAT standards. And then on 103.313, this item I am looking to increase by 50,000. This is to upgrade our Encode system to the cloud. This would really, really be helpful, especially during audit season, or like when somebody's out in the accounting department. This will allow us to upload all our invoicing, bills, everything is online, so we can just go in, type in what we're looking for, and it automatically pulls it up, instead of us having to go back to the actual paper copy. And this will actually cut down a lot on paper copies, because I will say, like, most of our vendors, they're emailing us the bills, but we have to print them out because our system doesn't allow us to attach them in the cloud yet. So that would be the increase to upgrade our Encode to the cloud base. My total budget for last year was $424,346. I'm proposing $443.70. That's with an $18,724 increase. This is the increases is due to personnel and staff paid out of this budget. Additional staff is not recommended for this budget. No recommendations for pay increases to be included in this budget. Much of the increase, is to update the Encode system. And that's all I have, if y'all have any
Council,
questions for me.
Questions? One of the things I'd like to state, just interesting, you know, inflation today is nearing 10%, and hats off to these guys in a lot of cases, because you can see 10% of a $442,000 budget would be $42,000 increase just to keep up with where we are last year, and that brings up another thought, but they work really hard in watching their expenses in some areas so they can allocate where the best bang for the buck. But one of the things too I want us to think about is the importance of running any kind of business. City, I mean, you guys know this is capital expenses, and we do a great job of keeping things running. But in our budget, and this is sometimes some of the things that is missing, the regular preventative maintenance, you know, of where we keep stuff, you know, our water wells and our equipment, you know, and that's one of the things too that sometimes we just don't do because we don't have the funds. And you'll see there's not a lot of that in there, and so there's trade-offs of what we do. But as we look through that, just kind of keep an eye on, you know, what is our capital expenses, and are we doing everything we need to do, you know, clean our air conditioner ducts, you know, little things like that, maintenance on vehicles, so on and so forth. But, you know, we keep things running, and we're great at doing that. But sometimes we got to spend a little money to keep from really big expenses. Key points too would be water wells and things like that. That we could do a little bit of, like for an example, a $30,000 or $40,000 maintenance on a water well may make it last another 7 or 8 years, you know, those kind of things. So anyway, I just want you guys to be thinking about that as well, and just thinking about from an inflationary idea, some of these budgets aren't up very much at all, and that's because they've really looked really hard at where we can save some money, so just keep that in mind. All right, who's next, Fred?
Next is streets.
Mayor, I have a question though. Okay,
Councilwoman Carter?
on the finance part with our, where it says employee incentive, what is that?
Oh,
Is that something else besides what you're already getting?
No, no ma'am, that's the employee incentive that Mr. Reyes spoke, that's the $2,000 across the whole board for all employees, and that's for my employees.
Okay, so it's not duplicating, it's just one,
No.
okay,
No.
just asking.
Is that not doing another incentive? No, we're not doing
All right, next is, what do we got? Utilities, streets, Hector.
Good evening. This, of all my departments, this is gonna be the simplest. Street department only has one request, change from last year, and it's only $1,000. Now, keep in mind, none of this has wish list items included in the PowerPoint, so that's to come later, but, I do operate under a budget of 12 employee roster, so I'd like to throw that in there. And what this entails here, what it purchases is more like the small stuff, like oil filters. And the reason for the increase is because everything's gone up, from mower blades to oil filters. I mean, all the little stuff comes out of this line item here, so that's the reason for the increase. Other than that, the street department has no requests whatsoever. Any questions?
One item that was removed on that, you want to mention that?
Oh, that's right. The streets and roadways was removed from the budget, so that
That item was removed. It was $300,000 that we have. We may, council, again, depending on how revenues look, we may look at, you know, putting those dollars back in there. I think it's something we can, definitely should consider. It's not in there right now, but once we get a hold of our revenues and expenses, we'd like to see how much we could put into that fund, because we're basically, right now, this year, we're using bond money, and we should either finish that bond money up this year or next year. So we may look at increasing that dollar amount. I don't know if it's $300,000, but we may look at increasing to see how many roads we can do next year. And again, it's not, as y'all can see, $300,000 doesn't cover it all. It just doesn't. Most of the work, street work, significant street work has been done over the course of several years. I think in 2012 and even in 2016, when they issued bonds, most street work, big significant street work has been done with bond money. it's very little that's been done out of operating expenses.
And council, you can see there that, the 300,000 so far, we've really only spent the 30,000 out of that, and that 24,000 for Moreno Street will come from, or
It will come out of bond.
Yeah, it won't come out of this, so still, we have 260-something thousand to do more streets, out of this year's budget. Any other questions for him?
I know,
Donna?
maintenance, you know, the keyword maintenance, I know it's been brought up before, prior, you know, on different meetings, but do we have an allocated, maintenance, employee that actually does repairs to equipment and you know, that would oversee the, you know, whether it's the backhoes or the gators, the tractors, you know, that's gonna check the engine oil, the transmission oil, the filters, and all that kind of stuff, the changes of the oil? Are there work orders in place implemented as well, you know, to where we won't have these, shortfalls that become big time expenses, you know?
I get it. We do have a maintenance program for all of our heavy equipment, once a year with the, is it twice a year? Quarterly? It's quarterly. We have a maintenance program where the guy comes in, I believe Askel, right?
Yes.
Askel's the one that comes and does all our heavy equipment. And then for all the smaller stuff, automobiles, small engines, lawnmowers, we have a fleet guy. It's one person.
Locally,
Mechanic, yeah.
on staff.
On staff, correct. Part of our staff. He does all the minor stuff. And some of the major, he can do major stuff, but all the heavy equipment maintenance, just the maintenance part, not the repairs, actual repairs. I mean, we do reach out there for repairs, but he can do so much, X amount on heavy equipment and all the small stuff. So, but we do have a maintenance program with ASCO budgeted into the operations.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much, Hector. All right, who's next?
The next one is Public Police Department.
Daniel, you're up.
Hello. So to quickly introduce myself. The intern chief at the time, my name is Daniel John Flores. Been with the department for 11 years. This is the only department that I know. So as far as the budget goes, there's no significant changes. It's actually gone down if you look at the total on the bottom. That's going to be due to some vehicles that were bought or leased last year, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Short of that, there's really no big changes. Do y'all have any questions regarding the police department?
This request thing that you have?
Sure.
This is his wish list.
This is our wish list, I titled it the necessity list. Okay. So, the police department's mission and our goal is to maintain safety and security for all the citizens of Pearsall and its visitors. Our goal is to constantly improve and provide excellent service for all who live and visit our community. The items that we are requesting are items that we currently lack and have provided will assist us in fulfilling this goal. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. What we're requesting is additional funding to outfit every officer and every member of the command staff with adequate firearms and safety equipment to counter any active shooter incident or any other hostile or potentially hostile situation. We're currently asking for every police vehicle to be equipped with a rifle-rated ballistic shield and door breaching equipment, specifically a battering ram and a Halligan tool. Battering rams are used for doors that open in. Halligan tools are used for doors that open out. Other items that we were asking for are additional patrol rifles, so where every officer can be outfitted with a rifle, specifically issued to them. Currently, we have 8 rifles with the department, and we're asking for 10 more. A cost of 10 more rifles is roughly $8,750. With those rifles, we're asking that we provide the funds to purchase lights for the rifles. Reason being is when you point a weapon at something, you need to be sure what you're aiming at. As we all know, half the officers work at nighttime, and if they can't see what they're aiming at, and that's how accidents happen. The biggest item that we're asking for, I'm sorry, not the biggest, but where the most money that we're asking for is gonna be the shields. So if you'll look right there, the brand is Battle Steel, and they're Level 3 ballistic shields. They're capable of stopping 5.56 rounds